I figured I'd do a quick update. I know it's been a while, but I have been busier than busy. So this thing, I have messed with it and messed with it and messed with it and messed with it some more. And what I have figured out is essentially, originally I was going to use a Arduino to make the RAM go up and down. So this had 440 3-phase that came in. Let's see if I've got that thing somewhere. It had a transformer right here that took the 440 off of one leg and transformed it down to 110. So you had 110 power going to a contactor, which I'm not 100% sure what I did with that. And I replaced the valve body that was on it. So originally it had this motor, and I replaced that motor with a 5 horse. That's a 15 horsepower motor, and it's 440. There's no way I could have powered that. And let's see if I can find the valve body. Oh yeah, the valve body's over here. So here's the valve body that was on top of it, buried under that winch. So I bought a 12 volt valve body similar to this one that I've taken apart. The only difference is the other one is a 2-spool, so I've actually got another spool up there if I wanted to use it. This one didn't work at all. The one that I put up there, I had to take and rob parts off of this valve body to make it work with that one. So I got 2 valve bodies, spent way more money than I should have to end up with one mostly working valve body. So I started working on something to sort of do my circuitry on it. I wanted it to be a foot pedal like this, where I could go down, and then when it hits a limit switch, so it goes down a certain distance, hits a limit switch, goes back up and stops as long as I've got the pedal pressed. And at any time I can hit up to go up. So that was the plan, and I wrote up probably 15 different circuits trying to make it work, and I ended up, I was going to make like a circuit board with like 4, I think, relays, and it still didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do with that circuit. So I went to lunch with a friend of mine today, and we were talking about a baler that he had. And it was a very similar idea to this. And so as I've converted this to 12 volt DC, this is what I've got. Got a computer power supply that I pulled out of something for my 12 volts, and one automotive 12 volt relay is what I've got. And what I've done is this. So I've got 12 volts going to an upper limit switch that's normally closed. So it's normally going to pass current. So I've got 12 volts going to the common of that, and it's going into my foot pedal common wire. I've got 3 wires. I've got one that's got 12 volts on it, one for up and one for down. So it goes into my down wire that goes into the relay. And the way a relay works is you have a coil circuit, so you've got a positive and a negative. When you apply positive to this coil, it switches from one position to another position. So I think I've got, dropping everything. What did I do with that relay? I had another relay somewhere. And usually on a relay there's a schematic that tells you how it's going to work. So here is my relay. And if you look, you have a schematic here. You got 87A that's connected to 30 normally. When you hit the 86 and 85 with 12 volts, it switches from 87A to 87. So what that looks like, That a pretty stool. My mom brought me that. So what that looks like on the bottom, you have these pins. So you see the 87 and 87A, you see the 30 and the 85 and 86. So when you apply 12 volts to these two terminals, these two are normally connected. When you apply 12 volts, it disconnects from here and connects to here. All it is a switch. Very basic switch. So the way it's set up is as soon as I apply 12 volts here, it's going to run through the normally connected to my downstroke. And what happens as it's running through my downstroke, this is a normally open down switch. So as soon as this down switch gets hit, it applies power to this wire, which makes it go up and maintains the relay. So this wire is going back to this. So normally there's no 12 volts in this side of the circuit right here, these two wires. And as soon as you hit the down pedal, it will go down because it's going through here. This is just crossing, that's not connected. And you have a normally open down limit switch that is not connecting 12 volts. But when that switch gets hit, because you have a 12 volt common that's going to go out through there, when that switch gets hit, it runs 12 volts into this, which then switches your switch from this terminal to this terminal. So there's 87A and there's 87. Well, then 87, it has now stopped going down and switched its power to the upstroke. I also have an upstroke on the same pedal that just goes directly to the upstroke. So I don't have, it's just a real simple, hit the button, applies power there. You shouldn't be hitting both at the same time. So you're going to hit one or the other. But if you apply power to this one, it will automatically flip this, which will automatically take power from your downstroke. So this is what's called a latching relay with this wire going back. So essentially, as long as I'm holding the down pedal, which is applying 12 volts here, as soon as it switches over to this leg, it's also applying 12 volts back to its relay, which is keeping the relay engaged. So these are the limit switches, right here. And I've got this taken apart. There was a micrometer adjustment in here, but it's frozen up. But essentially, there's a little peg that will hit that limit switch right there. And you can set it with a gross adjustment here. And then the fine adjustment would be right here that you could screw up and down. I would, let's see if I can run it. So this switch turns on the pump. Here, that's the VFD that runs it. And when it's running, so now I'm going up, I'm going to remove my safety blocks, and then there's down. It is very slow. There's up. And if you notice, as I hit up, you hear it stop. You can hear the motor run and then stop. So I'm hitting the pedal and holding it down. See that? It's going to keep going up. So this thing is drifting. I think my valve body is leaking back. These are just for safety. But I think my valve body is leaking back. So if you notice, it's going up. As long as I'm holding that down, it'll just keep doing what it's doing. If I let go, it's drifting down. So that's something I'm going to have to eventually solve. But as of right now, I basically have a way of making this thing work. When I hit the down switch, oops, I don't want to bust my board thing. When I hit the down switch, What I might do is make me a switch where I can just keep it where it'll stay up. Just put me a switch up here or something. I don't know, I'll figure that out later. But if I hit the down, it will go down to a certain point that I set, and once it hits the limit switch, it'll automatically go right back up to the top and then stop. So what's interesting is I was able to do this with one 12-volt relay. So that was cool. So I replaced all the crap in here with one 12-volt relay and a power supply. Now the one thing that I haven't wired up yet is this. So that's coming. Essentially what I think I'm going to do is wire this switch up to where at any time, if you're bending, you're usually going to use both of your hands and your foot here. What I want to be able to do is if something goes wrong, I can slam my forehead into this switch if I need to, and it'll send the realm up. It'll just stay going up. So I may have to put another relay in because these are normally normally closed, and then it's open. What I actually need is the opposite of that. I need it to be a normally open, and when I hit this, it shoves everything up. I can't think of, I thought about shutting it off with the e-stop where it just shuts it down completely, but I think the better thing to do would be maybe have two e-stops. Maybe have this one for my send the realm home, so it would just immediately shove it up, and then have another e-stop somewhere mounted here that will give me a shut the power off button or something. And what I may do is just move this switch from where it's at to somewhere over here, maybe right on top of this or something where I can flip the motor on and off. I may do that. But anyway, so yeah, this thing is pretty sweet. I did bend one thing. My dies are a little bit limited, but I did bend this. It's just a little air tool bracket where I can put more air tools on the wall here. It's just one that I kind of put together real quick. So yeah, but yeah, there it is. So there's that. Now, the next thing that I have to work on is the back gauges. So I'm gonna probably finish this soon, but back here I'm gonna have linear rails that will go in and out, and I'm debating on, do I want it to go in and out and up and down? So if I do up and down, I'm gonna have to somehow make a tower, and I'm not sure if I really want to do that. But what I could do is make it out of aluminum. So I've got this aluminum tubing right here that I might use because it would be light and it wouldn't be really heavy. And I've got some tubing over there in the woods that I might use. So at some point I've got to finish pouring the concrete here. A friend of mine's going to come. He's got a smaller backhoe, and we're going to dig this out, and then I'm going to pour concrete from here to where I'm standing, so you can see to that corner and to that corner, and then I'm going to wall this in, and we'll get her done. So hope you have a good day. Hope this is interesting to somebody. You guys have a good day. Bye.